This is the most angry Mr. Halogen looks. The two tentacles are wrapped around. A powerful shockwave appears on his chest. It only takes one shot to reduce everything to nothing. You don't have to look at him now, but he doesn't have long to live. It all started 2 years ago. He was a top international assassin at the time. He was assassinated on a mission. He fell into the hands of a professor who was conducting experiments. He was used as a guinea pig for experiments. The person in charge of him was Xiao Mei, the teacher of the third year E class. Xiao Mei is a timid and weak person, but she was always happy when she was with Halo. After a few years together, they became good friends who could talk to each other, and they had a mutual affection for each other. And just when the experiment was about to succeed, the professor realized that Halo was too powerful. He was afraid that he would lose control of him, so he tried to kill him by activating the self-destruct device. Xiao Mei was seriously injured when she tried to save him. She lay dying in the arms of the egg, but before she died, what she couldn't let go of was, she was still thinking of the students in class 3E. She asks him to take care of them in the future. But little did Mei know that, although the genetic experiment was successful, but he had one fatal drawback, that he could only live for 3 years, and after 3 years, he will expose himself to death, and he would blow up the planet. So he made a deal with the leaders, that he would use the 3 years to get the students to assassinate him. He also agreed to use those 3 years to fulfill Xiao Mei's request. The 3-year deadline was drawing near. The students were still doing what they always did. They were stabbing him every day, some with machetes, but no matter what they used, nothing worked. It was getting close to the time when he would blow himself up. That day he planned to tell his classmates the truth. This is the most brash, beautiful teacher I've ever seen. With a rocket launcher in his hand, he was striding like a man who could not recognize his own family. Then he struck a handsome pose with a little shake of his hand. It turns out that when the students found out what had happened to Mr. Halogen, they wanted to help him, to find an antidote to stop him from blowing himself up. They used the robot's chest calculations. They found out that there was a drug that could save Mr. Halogen. The initial data from the drug the professor had given him, so they infiltrated the professor's biology lab. They stole the data. After many experiments, they finally came up with a cure to save Mr. Baldwin. But when they were on their way back with the cure, they were stopped by a mysterious group of people. Fortunately, the beautiful teacher appeared just in time. She used a rocket to create chaos. The students are able to escape. They found Mr. Halogen as soon as they could. They handed over the antidote they had developed. Although he knew the antidote was useless to him, but it was a relief to see the students running around for him. So he drank it without saying a word. He knew his days were numbered. He wanted to give out the diplomas to his students. But the next moment, it turned out that this was the professor who had studied Mr. Halogen, and he was here to kill Mr. Baldwin. In order to increase his own power, the professor kept injecting genetic drugs into his body. The students were dumbfounded as the professor kept injecting. Soon he became a disgusting monster. When he was done, without saying a word, he chopped Mr. Halogen in half with one blow. Then he struck again. He rolled up Mr. Baldwin with his tentacles and threw him outside, and then he broke through the wall. He began to batter him. Soon Mr. Baldwin was beaten to death, but he got up despite the pain, because behind him were the students he needed to protect. He wouldn't let them get hurt no matter what. But before he could finish his sentence, he was pinned to the ground again. The hallucinogenic teacher was about to be killed. Just as the monster was about to deliver the killing blow, a female student runs to get in front of him, but the monster is clearly not going to stop there. With a single blow, and the girl was knocked out of the room. She soon lost her life. Looking at the girl who had died for him, Mr. Halogen finally became angry. He bared his 99 sharp little teeth. He turned on all the power in his body. His chest instantly burst into a dazzling light. He struck a fatal blow at the monster. He was knocked into oblivion. She then silently picked up the schoolgirl and returned to the classroom, thinking that he had promised Xiao Mei to take care of the students. Now he must not let any student die in front of his eyes. With that, his tentacles began to turn into silver threads. He used what energy he had left to bring the girl back to life, but he too fell to the ground. The students were happy to see their classmate come back to life, but at that moment the Halogen egg made 2 requests. One was that he wanted everyone to give the blogger a like and a follow. All the students agreed and raised their hands. The second was that he wanted the students to kill themselves, because his 3 years were up. Even if they didn't kill him, he'd blow himself up and die. But by then, the power of the explosion would have destroyed the Earth. At this point, The students understood his intentions, although they were very reluctant, but they pressed their hands together on Mr. Baldwin's body, and the class leader took his head and slowly rode up. At that moment, Mr. Baldwin said his last words, "I'm happy to be killed by you. I feel very happy to have been killed by you. Thank you all." The students were silent. The class monitor with the knife couldn't stop shaking. He could no longer suppress his emotions. "Don't kill me with such feelings. Calm down and smile. Farewell. Farewell." As the Bishujo slowly sank into his body, the teacher spoke his last words. "Congratulations! You have graduated." With these words, the teacher's body began to slowly disappear, disappearing in the air as a dot of light.